Aaron always believed his family was unshakable, until his wife, Sophia, made him see the cracks he had ignored for years. On the channel you will find even more interesting stories. Subscribe and like. Growing up in a small Oregon town, Aaron 28M was raised in what many would call a free-spirited household. His parents, Glenn 55M and Maria 53F, were high school sweethearts who married young and had 3 children in quick succession. Their parenting philosophy was simple: give the kids freedom, let them make mistakes, and trust that they'd learn from them. This hands-off approach fostered a deep bond between Aaron, his older sister Sam 30F, and his younger brother Clarence 25M. They were more than siblings, they were best friends, partners in crime, inseparable. Their childhood was filled with late-night adventures in their treehouse, where they dreamed about the future. Even as they grew older and their paths diverged, that connection remained. Sam was the rebel, always challenging norms, dyeing her hair in bright colors, and getting tattoos the moment she turned 18. Clarence, on the other hand, was the family's mediator, able to defuse any situation with a joke and a smile. Aaron found himself in the middle, the bridge between his siblings' contrasting personalities. Despite living in different cities, Sam flourishing as a graphic designer in Portland, Clarence pursuing environmental science in Seattle, and Aaron working as a high school teacher in their hometown, their family had a tradition that kept them close. Every Sunday, they gathered at their parents' house for dinner. It started when Sam left for college, a way for their mother to ensure they stayed connected. What began as an obligation soon became the highlight of their week: laughter, lively debates, and even the occasional arm-wrestling match to settle disputes. Aaron cherished these dinners, seeing them as proof of their family's unwavering unity. 3 years ago, he introduced Sophia to this tradition. They had met at a coffee shop where she worked while finishing her nursing degree. From the moment he saw her warm smile and quick wit, he was hooked. Their shared love of 80s movies and terrible puns sealed the deal, and before long, Aaron knew he wanted to spend his life with her. When he brought Sophia to her first Sunday dinner, everything seemed perfect. His family welcomed her with open arms, and she fit right in. Sam and Sophia instantly bonded over their shared love of art, and Clarence kept her entertained with his endless stories. For a moment, Aaron thought he had everything: a strong family and the love of his life. But beneath the laughter and familiarity, cracks were forming. Cracks he hadn't noticed until Sophia helped him see the truth. At first, everything seemed perfect. Aaron and Sophia got married in a beautiful backyard ceremony at his parents' house, surrounded by love, laughter, and the warmth of family. He felt like the luckiest man alive. Not only did he have the woman he adored, but he believed his family embraced her just as much. But 6 months into their marriage, things began to shift. Sophia, once eager to attend family gatherings, started pulling away. At first, Aaron thought it was just exhaustion from her new job at the hospital. But as weeks turned into months, her reluctance became impossible to ignore. One Sunday, she claimed she had a migraine and insisted Aaron go to dinner without her. When he returned, he found her curled up on the couch, her eyes red and puffy. She dismissed his concerns, blaming her tears on the pain. But similar incidents followed. She either avoided family events entirely or, when she did attend, sat quiet and withdrawn, so unlike the vibrant, confident woman he had fallen in love with. The truth finally came out after a particularly tense family dinner where a discussion about local elections had turned heated. That night, Sophia broke down. Through tears, she admitted that Aaron's family made her feel unwelcome. They dismissed her opinions, ganged up on her during conversations, and threw subtle but cutting remarks about her background and beliefs. Aaron was stunned. He had never noticed any hostility. To him, their family debates were just that, spirited discussions, never personal attacks. He reassured her that she was reading too much into things, that his family would never intentionally hurt her. That was their first real fight as a married couple. Sophia accused him of invalidating her feelings, of always siding with his family over her. She pointed out specific moments, how Sam had once made a sarcastic comment about her small-town views, or how his mother had subtly belittled her career, implying that nursing wasn't ambitious enough. Aaron struggled to believe it. Sam had always been blunt, but he saw it as harmless teasing. His mother's remarks, he assumed, came from a place of well-meaning concern. But as time passed, cracks in his denial started to show. Sophia's presence at family gatherings became rare, and when she did attend, the tension was undeniable. Slowly, Aaron began to notice things he had ignored before: a sharp remark from Sam here, a dismissive look from his mother there. Yet, even as he started to see the problem, he still couldn't fully accept just how deep it ran. And then came a dinner that changed everything. It all came to a breaking point. One evening, during a heated discussion on immigration policies, Sophia tried to share her perspective, a perspective shaped by her own family's immigrant experience. But before she could even finish, Aaron's mother cut her off with a patronizing, "Oh, honey, you're too young to understand the complexities of these issues." The condescension in her voice was unmistakable, and Aaron saw something in Sophia deflate. Then came Thanksgiving. The family gathered as usual, but when the conversation turned to the recent presidential election, things spiraled. Sophia, always passionate about social issues, voiced her opinion on a controversial policy. Instead of a respectful discussion, she was met with a barrage of attacks. Sam called her naive. Clarence, the usual mediator, avoided eye contact, staying silent. Aaron's father tried to steer the conversation away, but his mother pressed on, making an offhand remark about how Sophia's background was clouding her judgment. Aaron watched in horror as the woman he loved, the strong, confident Sophia, seemed to shrink before his eyes. Without a word, she excused herself from the table. He found her crying in the guest room. That was the moment everything became clear. Confronting his family, Aaron demanded to know why they were treating his wife this way. The responses varied: denial, deflection, flimsy justifications. Sam insisted it was all just healthy debate. Clarence muttered an apology but admitted he didn't want to get involved. His father stayed quiet, visibly uncomfortable. But it was his mother's response that shattered him the most. "Sophia is too sensitive," she said. "She needs to toughen up if she wants to be part of this family. I'm just trying to help her fit in." Aaron and Sophia left that night, and as they drove home in silence, he felt his world crumbling. The family he had idolized for so long suddenly felt unrecognizable, cruel, exclusionary, toxic. And worst of all, he realized he had been complicit. In his blind devotion to them, he had failed to protect the woman he had promised to stand by. Then, a week later, came the news. Sophia was pregnant. What should have been the happiest moment of their lives was clouded by the weight of everything that had happened. Sophia was firm. She didn't want their child exposed to the toxicity of his family. And deep down, Aaron agreed. But that didn't make the loss any less painful. He cut ties with most of them, except for his father, who seemed to be the only one who truly understood. His dad called often, apologizing for his silence, offering to mediate, trying to repair the damage. But Aaron wasn't sure if anything could fix what had already been broken. Aaron couldn't shake the weight of everything that had happened. He and Sophia were preparing to welcome their child into the world, building a life rooted in love and respect, yet a sense of loss clung to him. The family he had once cherished, the people he had shared his childhood with, felt like strangers now. The treehouse where he and his siblings had whispered about their dreams, the Sunday dinners filled with laughter and debates, the inside jokes that had once made him feel like he belonged, all of it was tainted. At night, he lay awake, sifting through memories, searching for the moment things had gone wrong. Had his family always been this way, and he had just been too blind to see it? Or had something changed over the years? Either way, the truth was clear now. The people he had once trusted to love and accept him had instead hurt the woman he had vowed to protect. Sophia's pregnancy only made the situation more urgent. They had to make choices about their future, about the kind of environment they wanted to create for their child. And every decision felt like it carried an impossible weight. The idea of his child growing up without knowing their aunt, uncle, or grandparents was heartbreaking. But the idea of allowing his wife and baby to endure the same treatment Sophia had faced? That was unthinkable. He knew he had to be strong. For Sophia. For their child. But the emotions were overwhelming. He missed his family, even as anger burned inside him. He wanted to protect his wife, but he couldn't shake the guilt of not realizing the truth sooner. Desperate for clarity, he sought advice, and the responses he received helped him find the strength to take the next step. 3 months later, after countless conversations with Sophia, he made a decision. He would confront his family one final time. He needed to know if there was any hope left, if the people he had loved could ever truly change. He chose a place that once meant something to all of them, the local park where they had spent so much of their childhood. They had built sandcastles there, raced their bikes down the winding paths, listened to their parents cheering from the sidelines. Maybe, just maybe, being there would remind them of the bond they once shared. Sophia chose not to come, and he didn't blame her. In the days leading up to the meeting, Aaron felt torn between nostalgia and dread. He had so many happy memories of this place, yet now, it felt like a battlefield. When the day arrived, he got there early. He sat on the old wooden bench, the one where their initials were still faintly carved, a relic from a time when they had believed their family would always be whole. As he ran his fingers over the worn markings, he took a deep breath. And then, he waited. Emotions swirled within me, anger, sadness, and a faint, fleeting hope that perhaps, just maybe, we could find a way to mend this. My family arrived together, with Mom and Dad at the front, and Sam and Clarence trailing behind. The air was heavy with tension from the moment they walked in. We exchanged uneasy hellos before settling at a nearby picnic table. I took a steadying breath, preparing myself. I began to speak, laying out every instance of how Sophia had been mistreated. I presented each example, detailing specific incidents with dates to back them up. I spoke about the snide comments, the dismissive attitudes, and how they had ganged up on her in conversations. I explained how their behavior had not only wounded my wife but had also placed a strain on our marriage, and now it was threatening my bond with our unborn child. As I spoke, I watched their reactions closely. My dad, Glenn, looked deeply regretful, shaking his head as if he couldn't quite grasp what he was hearing. Sam's face was a blend of disbelief and defiance, while Clarence appeared as though he wished he could vanish entirely. Their responses were mixed, and I could feel the weight of the moment. Dad was the first to speak. He admitted that he had noticed some of the things I mentioned but hadn't said anything. He expressed regret, explaining how he had been raised to avoid confrontation, which had caused him to remain silent even when things felt wrong. The pain in his voice was palpable, and for a moment, I saw the father I remembered, kind, caring, always striving to do the right thing. Sam was defensive at first. She argued that her comments had never been meant to hurt anyone, that she was just joking around. But as I shared more specific examples, a shift began to happen. I could see the realization dawning on her. She started to understand the weight of her words and actions. There was a brief attempt to make excuses, recalling moments when Sophia had disagreed with her, but I stood my ground. I clarified that disagreements were one thing, but the way they had treated Sophia went far beyond simple differences of opinion. Clarence's reaction was the most surprising. My usually quiet brother broke down, confessing that he had always felt uneasy about how the family treated Sophia but had been too afraid to speak out. He explained how he felt torn between loyalty to the family, and knowing deep down that what was happening was wrong. It was a side of Clarence I had never seen before, and it made me realize how much this situation had impacted him as well. But the most shocking, and deeply disappointing, reaction came from my mother, Maria. She remained adamant that Sophia was the problem, not the family. She accused me of betraying them and claimed Sophia had brainwashed me into turning against them. She even brought up childhood memories, times when she said she had sacrificed for us, as though that somehow excused her treatment of Sophia. Her words hit me like a slap in the face. The words my mother had spoken were painful, but they also brought a certain clarity. I realized that her behavior had been the root cause of much of the toxicity in our family dynamic. It was a bitter truth to face, seeing the woman who had raised me, the one I had always viewed as loving and supportive, in such a harsh light. The conversation dragged on for hours, filled with tears, raised voices, moments of understanding, and others of frustration. By the end, a sort of resolution had been reached. My dad, Sam, and Clarence agreed to attend family counseling, working on their communication and behavior. They also promised to apologize to Sophia individually, but only when she felt ready to hear it. However, my mother refused to admit any fault. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park, she suddenly stood up and made it clear that if I chose Sophia over the family, she would no longer welcome me in her life. With that, she walked away, leaving the rest of us in stunned silence. It was an agonizing moment, watching her walk off, knowing this might be the last time I saw her for some time. Yet, at the same time, there was a sense of release. For the first time in months, I felt like I could finally breathe. In the weeks that followed, I had one-on-one conversations with my dad, Sam, and Clarence. They were making an effort to understand where they had gone wrong, and how they could do better. Sam even sent Sophia a heartfelt letter, apologizing for her past behavior and expressing a desire to make amends. Clarence began calling regularly, asking about the pregnancy and offering his support. Sophia, while still cautious, was cautiously optimistic. Though she wasn't ready to rejoin family gatherings, she was open to slowly rebuilding the relationships, starting with individual meetings after the baby was born. As for my mother, I haven't heard from her since that day in the park. Dad says she's still angry and hurt, but he remains hopeful that, with time and the arrival of her grandchild, she might come around. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm leaving the door open for the chance of reconciliation if she's ever willing to admit her mistakes and truly change. For now, Sophia and I are focused on preparing for the arrival of our baby. We've been attending birthing classes and setting up the nursery. Last weekend, we painted the room a soft yellow. As we worked side by side, I felt a peace I hadn't felt in a long time. It was amazing to watch Sophia relaxed and happy again, free from the stress my family had once caused her. Her smile was back, and she was cracking her usual terrible puns, which never failed to make me laugh. We've been talking more openly about our feelings and our hopes for the future, and it feels like we're rediscovering each other in the best way possible. Sophia and I are reconnecting, rediscovering our love for each other once again. While I know we still have a long journey ahead, there are moments when I feel a sharp sadness. I miss the family gatherings, the shared inside jokes that once connected us. But then, I look at Sophia, her hand resting gently on her growing belly, and I am reminded that I made the right choice. I'm learning to be the husband and father that both she and our child deserve, even if it means redefining the concept of family. It's not always an easy path, but each passing day confirms that this journey is worth it. To anyone facing a similar situation, I want to say, it's okay to prioritize the family you've chosen, the one you're building, over the one you were born into. It's not betrayal, it's personal growth. It might be painful, but it can also be incredibly liberating. Update 2. It's been 6 months since I last shared an update, and so much has changed. Our daughter, Lily, arrived 2 months ago, and she's perfect in every way. The moment I held her for the first time, I realized that all the difficult decisions and painful conversations were worth it. Becoming a father has given me a fresh perspective on life and family, reinforcing my commitment to creating a nurturing environment for Lily. Lily's arrival has sparked some unexpected shifts within our family dynamics. My dad, Sam, and Clarence have been working hard to repair their relationships with Sophia. They've been attending counseling sessions and have shown genuine regret for their past actions. About a month before Lily's birth, Sophia felt ready to meet with them individually, and those meetings, though emotional, proved productive. Dad was the first to meet with her. He brought with him a handmade rocking chair, a family heirloom that he had restored. As he gave it to Sophia, his eyes welled up with tears. He apologized for staying silent while she endured mistreatment, and though Sophia was initially cautious, she was touched by his heartfelt sincerity. Sam visited next, bringing with her a sketchbook filled with designs for Lily's nursery, a way to offer something tangible. At first, the conversation was awkward, but as Sam opened up about her own vulnerabilities and how they had influenced her past behavior, Sophia's guard began to lower. By the end of their meeting, they had started tentatively planning a day out together after the baby was born. Clarence's visit was the most surprising. My usually quiet brother showed up with a stack of parenting books and a heartfelt letter. He admitted that he had always admired Sophia's strength, and that his silence had stemmed from fear, not agreement with the family's behavior. Sophia appreciated his honesty, and they ended up spending hours talking about their hopes and dreams for Lily's future. When Lily was born, we made the decision to allow them to visit us at the hospital. The initial moments were filled with tension, but seeing their joy as they met Lily helped to ease some of the lingering discomfort. The initial awkwardness of our gatherings was expected, and Sophia was understandably cautious. However, she acknowledged the respectful efforts being made by everyone, and she appreciated their willingness to change. Since then, we've slowly started reintegrating them into our lives. We've shared a few dinners at our place, where the focus has been on reconnecting and bonding with Lily. These meals have been peaceful and enjoyable, quite the contrast to the tension-filled environment of the past. The most unexpected development, however, came from my mother, Maria. About a month after Lily's birth, she reached out to me and asked if we could meet at a local coffee shop. I was hesitant but agreed, hoping it might bring some closure. When we met, I barely recognized the woman sitting across from me. Gone was the defensive, domineering mother I had known. Instead, I saw a tearful, remorseful woman who had spent months reflecting on her behavior. She confessed that after our confrontation in the park, she had fallen into a deep depression that forced her to examine herself and her actions. She had begun therapy, which helped her understand the toxic patterns in her behavior and the damage she had caused to her relationships. Maria apologized profusely for how she had treated Sophia and for manipulating family dynamics over the years. She expressed a sincere desire to make amends and to be involved in Lily's life. However, she also acknowledged that she would respect our decision if we weren't ready for that. I was stunned by the change in my mother. While I was touched by her apology, I made it clear that rebuilding our relationship would be a slow and cautious process, and that Sophia's feelings would always come first. Maria agreed, stating that she was willing to do whatever it took to earn back our trust. I shared this with Sophia, and though she was initially skeptical, she agreed to meet Maria under controlled conditions. We invited her over to our house, with my dad present to serve as a buffer. The meeting was tense and emotional, but it ended with Maria offering a heartfelt apology to Sophia and meeting her granddaughter for the very first time. We're taking things one day at a time. Maria hasn't fully rejoined our lives yet, but she is making an effort. She's participating in family counseling with the others and is being respectful of our boundaries. It's a work in progress, but I'm cautiously optimistic. As for Sophia and me, our relationship has only grown stronger through all of this. We're learning to communicate better, to stand up for each other, and to prioritize our small family. Watching Sophia with Lily fills me with joy and confirms that I made the right decision in putting their well-being first. The road ahead still has its challenges, but for the first time in a long while, I feel hopeful about the future of our extended family. Update 3. It's been a year since my last update, and I'm happy to say things have continued to improve. Lily just celebrated her first birthday, and the party was a clear sign of how much we've grown as a family. Over the past year, we've focused on rebuilding relationships and creating healthier dynamics, and it's been truly rewarding to see the progress. My dad, Sam, and Clarence have become regular parts of our lives. They've shown they are committed to change through their consistent actions and respect for our boundaries. Sophia, too, has become more at ease around them, and it's heartwarming to see them showering Lily with love. Maria, my mother, has made impressive progress. She's stayed with her therapy and has become an active participant in our family counseling. The relationship between her and Sophia has improved significantly. While they may never be best friends, there's now mutual respect and understanding between them, something I never thought would happen. One of the biggest changes has been how we handle family gatherings. We started a new tradition of monthly family dinners at our house. These dinners are a far cry from the tense, argumentative ones we used to have. Now, they're filled with laughter, meaningful conversations, and a strong sense of love and support. We've all agreed that respectful communication is essential, and we've learned to be more aware of each other's feelings and viewpoints. When things start to get heated, we have methods in place to calm things down and get back to neutral ground. Sophia has thrived in this new atmosphere. She's more confident in voicing her opinions, and it's been wonderful to see her build individual relationships with my family members. For example, she and Sam have started a book club together, a development I never would have expected a year ago. As for me, I've learned important lessons about standing firm for what's right, even when it's tough. I've become a better husband and father, always putting Sophia and Lily's well-being at the forefront. My relationship with my family has matured and found a new balance, and it's been incredibly rewarding. Lily is now at the center of everyone's life, and it's amazing to see how her presence has inspired us all to be better versions of ourselves. She's growing up surrounded by love, positive examples of conflict resolution, and personal growth. That said, it hasn't all been smooth sailing. We've faced setbacks and moments of tension, and old habits have threatened to resurface a few times. But we've tackled these challenges head-on, always returning to our commitment to do better. Looking back at where we were 2 years ago, the transformation seems almost unbelievable. We've gone from being a family torn apart by toxicity and misunderstandings to one that is stronger, more compassionate, and truly supportive. I'm aware that our work isn't over. Maintaining healthy relationships takes constant effort, but I'm no longer doubtful about our ability to keep growing. Instead of feeling daunted by the challenges ahead, I'm filled with excitement about the future we're creating together. As Sophia and I move forward, we're eager to expand our family. We're trying for a second child, knowing that this time we'll be welcoming a baby into a family that's ready to offer nothing but love and support. A heartfelt thank you to everyone who has followed our journey and offered their encouragement along the way. Your support has meant more to us than words can express.